All right. Hi, this is Jo Massaro with Yahweh Sisterhood Book Club. And this is the place where readers get to meet authors. And we are really blessed and honored today to have Johnnie Alexander with us.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Oh, please, it is us. This is not your first time with us.
No, I got to interview with you. It's been a while, several
It's been a
months,
while.
but that
Yes.
was so much fun. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to talk about that in a minute because I
Okay.
really love that book that we talked about before. So let me just kind of give you a little bit of information about Johnnie. Johnnie Alexander is a wannabe vagabond with a heart for making memories. Whether at home in Oklahoma or on the road, she creates characters you want to meet and images stories you won't forget, or imagine stories you won't forget. Her award-winning debut novel, Where Treasure Hides, which is one of my favorites, by the way,
Oh, thank you.
is a CBA bestseller and has been transplanted into Dutch and Norwegian.
Yes.
Her contemporary romance novels include Where She Belongs, When Hope Arrives, and What Hope Remembers. She currently writes cozy mysteries and contemporaries for Annie's Fiction and historical novellas for Barber. Her first indie novella, released in 2019 as part of the Resort to Romance series. She also teamed up with other authors for the Mosaic Collection, a series of contemporary novels releasing in 2019 and 20. And you share your vagabond life with Griff, your happy-go-lucky collie, which I love, and Rugby, your raccoon treeing papillon.
Yes.
And we're going to say how you can connect with Johnnie when we're all done, but we want to make sure we do that throughout it. But why don't you just share that a little bit right now so we don't forget to do that, how people can connect with you. So if somebody wanted to connect with you, how would they do that?
Probably one of the best places is on Facebook. That's where I'm at, and you just put Johnnie Alexander in the search bar and I should come up. So I have my profile and I'm happy to friend people. You just need to maybe send me a note, let me know where it came from, where we connected. And of course, my Facebook page, I welcome you to like that. I would really appreciate it. And I am doing some work on my website, which is johnnie-alexander.com. So there's got to be that little hyphen in there. So I don't have my newsletter subscription box there, but I put out a monthly newsletter, and I know I've got to get that up there, a monthly newsletter, and it really is engaging, I've been told, and I do a giveaway every month, so it's really fun to interact with people. So just email me if you want to be included in my newsletters. One of my newsletter subscribers, it's johnniealexander@icloud.com.
Well, there we go. They can find you anywhere.
Oh yeah, I'm all over the place, but mostly active on Facebook.
Yeah. Okay. So I was saying that you were on before.
Yes.
And the book that we talked about is Where Treasure Hides.
Yeah.
One of my absolute favorites. I so love this. It is, and maybe just take a minute or two to share something about that because I want people to know about that.
I love Where Treasure Hides. Of course, it was my debut novel, so there is something about it being the first. I had written another World War II novel that is still unpublished, and in doing the research for it, came to become very interested in the looting of the art and how the Nazis just, really just stole so much art. Hitler wanted to create his own museum in Austria, so he was just taking the best of the best. And there's just a lot to that. And then also juxtaposing that with children that were hidden away. The statistics are horrific. Like, it's something like only 10% of the Jewish children in Europe survived the war. It's horrible. And they survived because of people hiding them. So I sort of wanted to put those two things together, and I did that in Where Treasure Hides. But as the story itself develops, it does focus more on the art than the children. There are a couple instances of children being rescued, but which was very essential to the plot. But it really focused on the art and just the story of surviving such a horrific war and coming together at the end, and the lessons that can be learned along the way. I don't have that book with me, but it's in the other room. But a friend of mine got me a deck of playing cards, which we never use these cards.
I wouldn't touch them. I would want to keep them in the case.
Yeah, we would keep them in the case. But this is
That
the
is
cover.
the cover. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a
It is.
beautiful cover. I mean, they did a great job on the cover, and I just love it. So a wonderful story, I think. I think it covers a lot of themes, and there's a lot of depth to it, and there's some tragic things that happen
Sure.
in it. I've
It's
had
wartime.
Yeah, it's wartime. People say, one gal said she ugly cried through a lot of the book. She took the book with her on a family camping trip and stayed up all night and did not have fun with her family because she was crying. But there's
let me just say that it is a really incredible story.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it again because I absolutely loved it and read it again. And
Oh,
I actually gave my copy away. And so now I wish I had it, so I have to get another copy.
I'll send you a copy. I'll give you a copy.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
So just make sure we're not even talking about the book we're on for today yet, but that is a great book. Let me just tell you that. Okay,
I
so
love it.
yes. So let's go to the book we're going to talk about today, and that's The Mischief Thief.
Very different kind of book.
Very different. Yes. But maybe you could tell, now this is part of what you call the Mosaic Collection.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, the Mosaic Collection I think we have 11 authors right now, and we got together well over a year ago, almost probably 18 months or more, decided that we would band together to write contemporary novels in different genres, whatever we wanted to do. So they are standalone novels, though there can be series within that, and indie publish them and work together to market the books. And it has just become a wonderful experience because we are not only supporting each other in our books, but we're also becoming really good friends. And it is an international group. We have authors in Canada, authors here in the United States, and an author in South Africa. And all of us have been published before. So, we're, I guess, experienced in at least some way, though I'm not that experienced in indie publishing. And that's been quite the education too. So we do, all of our books are published under the Mosaic Collection banner. So all of the books have, and I'll show in a second, have the banner across the top so you can recognize it as a Mosaic novel. We are building a reader group on Facebook, which anyone's more than welcome to join. We'd love to have you there. And then we have our individual launch team groups. Mm-hmm. And it's just been a wonderful experience. And I believe we're going to be coming out with the historical line too next year.
Oh, that's right up my alley.
Yeah. So yeah, mine too. I mean, I love writing contemporaries, but I also love writing historical. So, and I'm kind of all over the map with that stuff. But we've written, last Christmas, we put out an anthology of short stories called Hope is Born, which was a lot of fun. And in June, we're putting out a summer collection called Before Summer's End, again, of short stories. And then my book, which was the May release, was the 10th book. So we've come to almost a year and learned a lot of things along the way and just having a great time. So it's been a wonderful experience to have been. I'm so honored that they asked me to be part of that group and so glad that I said yes.
That was a pretty good decision.
Yes, it truly was. It was. Yeah, when God just kind of puts things in my lap, though, I try to, unless I have a really good reason and we prayed about it, but yeah, I knew the ladies that were involved in starting the group, and they were, like friends that I knew from in the writing world, and so I really trusted them and their experience in doing indie publishing. And so, yeah, I was really excited to be asked and really excited to be part of it.
I'm hearing a little noise outside my window, which is not supposed to be going on. So excuse that. We're putting in gutters, and I told them not to do anything at this certain time.
It happens, though.
Yeah, so it happens.
Real life.
Yes. So, and you're going to be back with us in September with 3 other authors.
Yes, I am. We're going to be talking about Homefront Heroines.
Yes.
Is a collection of 4 novellas released by Barber. not that long ago. And the fun part of those stories is that they all feature a woman, a heroine, who is doing something here in the United States during World War II.
Mm.
And all of the titles for the stories are song titles. So that was really cool too, from the 1940s. Mine is called Blue Moon. So, you know, I sort of did researching on blue moon, on what a blue moon actually is and when it happened. And that was sort of actually the spark of my story. That's kind of where I started when I was trying to come up with the idea for the story.
That's really great. So let's talk about the Mischief Thief, because that is, interestingly enough, after about 20 minutes, that is what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
Tell us, you know, it's how did this book develop for you? I mean,
Wow.
It was different from obviously what I've read.
It is different from
So
other
good, by the
I've
way.
read.
You know, I absolutely loved it.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Let me show you. Here, this is.
There you go.
Can you see it? And then you can see that Mosaic Collection banner across the top,
Yep.
which you can see on all of our books. So this is the Mischief Thief. You know, sometimes it's really hard to remember how a story started because it's kind of been in my head for well over a year or more. Like my first notes of this are from long ago. But I really love the TV show Leverage, which I know some people are very familiar with and others aren't, but it is about a team of criminals, really a grifter, which is a con artist, what they call a hitter, a hacker, a thief, and then this mastermind. And so they're, except for the mastermind, they're thieves and criminals, but they have come together and they do good. So the tagline kind of is, the rich and powerful take what they want, we get it back for you, we provide leverage. And I always just think, if I wasn't a Christian, I'd love to be a grifter, you know? And not really. So I mean,
well, you're a vagabond already, so you know.
Yeah. What would be the difference, right? So, it's like taking from the rich and powerful when they are trying to hurt somebody else and doing something good. So I thought, you know, that's in like Alias Smith and Jones, that old classic Western where they're the bad guys trying to do good, and the A-team, and you know, just all those things. It just, that idea had been in my head. And then I put that together with the redemption scene in Les Miserables, where the bishop gives Jean Valjean, after he has stolen things from the bishop, and the French police bring him back. And the bishop says, oh, but here are the candlesticks, you forgot to take them too. And this is just such a turning point in Jean Valjean's life. And so, if you're familiar with the story Les Mis, that just drives the whole rest.
Les Mis is one of my favorites.
Mine, it's right up there, top 2 or 3 for me, absolutely. And it's like, how can I put those two things together? And so
that's fascinating that you took that.
The Mischief Thief kind of came about, and it's about a young woman who comes from a family of con artists, but yet she has a conscience, and you see that in the very first scene. It was very important to me in the very first chapter. You see her doing the right thing.
You definitely saw that, yeah.
Yes, yeah, you see that. I mean, she's talking to a member of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. She sees somebody pickpocket to take a woman's locket, and she pickpockets the pickpocket and gets the locket back and returns it, because it was important that the readers identify with her right away and see her as having a heart and a conscience, even though she's got this moral compass that's a little bit different.
And I love that we find out the meaning of how important that locket was to the woman.
Yeah, that was kind of a cool thing too. That sort of came later, but it's like, that needed to be said. It was an important
I'm glad you
thing.
did that. I liked it, because I wondered.
Yeah, you do. And then, so her name is Cheney Rose, and then the minister is Adam. And it is kind of based on the first man, Adam. I thought that would be a good name for him. And his name is Adam Thorn. So it's Rose and Thorn series. And he's just not having a really good time. His fiance has broken off their engagement. And in the opening scene with Adam, he is being told that the board has decided that they don't want him as their minister anymore. So he's just lost his job. Yeah. And his father is involved in something that we at first we're not sure what that's all about a missing racehorse, and his dad's involved in that. His dad's a veterinarian, and that was the excuse that the church used to fire Adam, was because of the scandal of his dad having disappeared at the same time as this racehorse, and as a mobster's wife disappeared. So that the horse is Mischief. And they're on Adam and Cheney end up working together to figure out how to get Mischief back and how to save Mischief, even after he's returned to the mobster, who owns him, how to save him from being put down for the insurance money or risking further injury in a race, and rescuing him. So that's the story in a nutshell, but it really is it's a fun story. I call it a lighthearted suspense. It's not one of those, edge of the seat necessarily suspense stories, but more lighthearted. But I just think, you hope this works, and I wasn't sure it was going to work, but it did. The relationship between Cheney and Adam is just so special. It's not a romance at this point. I do hope it's a series, so eventually we may get there. It's not that there's no romance right now, but you really do see a connection between these two characters.
You see an evolution happening in the characters.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah. I loved how you take characters and how you weave this storyline together. I'm sitting there, and as I'm reading, by the way, this is what I was going to say. I was sitting out on my deck with my Kindle because I was reading it outside, and I sat and read the whole thing out on the deck.
Wow.
And my husband comes out and he says, "Are you okay out here?" I'm like, "Yes, this is really good." Okay. So it had me so engrossed. I just, and it's not the deep historical type book that that we're talking about, but it is a really wonderful read. What else would you want our readers to know really about the book? I have to ask you some stuff about you yet, so we're not done.
I think what was really fascinating to me is that I didn't really have a theme in mind when this book started. And I really did write it by the seat of the pants. I mean, I don't write every book that way, but this one truly was written that way. I wasn't sure. I had a really difficult time coming up with the con, and my sister was helping me with that. Patricia Bradley, who's an author friend of mine, helped me with that too. We would be brainstorming, figuring out how to make everything work together and be believable. But it was so interesting to me how this whole theme of trust became so important, because Cheney has been raised, she's been in and out of the foster care system, but she remembers, as the story progresses, she's always thinking of something her grandfather told her. So her grandfather's voice is very much in her head, and you don't trust anybody. You just don't, you don't trust people at all. And Adam has been raised in more of a Christian home. And so he is trusting, and yet he's wondering about how he can trust Cheney, and yet he does, even though he knows she may not be trustworthy. He finds himself trusting her, and then as the story goes on, she has to trust him. And so this whole theme of trust just sort of developed and in a very organic way, which I think is a good thing.
I so agree. Again, can you hold that up again?
Oh yeah, let me get it.
I want to make sure that we show that again. And
there, you have to tell me when it looks.
It looks pretty good. The Mischief Thief. Okay, and they can see your name really well.
And I love this cover too. I think Rosanna White designed the cover, and I think she did a great job. It's very different. It's a very different kind of cover, and I love it.
So let me ask you a question about horses. Did you have any background with horses?
Not a lot personally, though. A few years ago, my sister gave me horseback riding lessons. And I took actually, that was when I was writing a different novel that had a horse in it. And so I thought, oh, that'd be fun. So she did. She gave me horseback riding lessons, and I learned to ride on a very large pony. It wasn't even quite a horse, but it was a large pony, and that was suited me. I'm not very tall. I mean, I don't know whether you can tell that in these videos. I'm just that, like 5 foot tall. So the tall pony was perfect for me. And it was a lot of fun doing that and grooming. And then I have a friend when I was living, I lived in Tennessee, like I am a vagabond. I have moved around a lot. Lived in Tennessee near Memphis for a while and had a friend there. She's actually the one that hooked me up with who to take lessons from. And she has a huge horse. And actually I rode her horse when she was leading it because there was no way I was going to try to do it on my own. But she's kind of my horse go-to person. And then it was just research. I mean, researching the racing industry, there's something called claims racing, which I'd never heard of before. And my sister was the one who actually came up with that. And it plays a part in the story too. And I actually was reading the Florida statutes about, about how to do that. The story takes place in Florida where I lived most of my adult life. And that was a lot of fun because I was really able to, I think, really put the Florida feel into this story because it's an area I know takes place in Orlando, and that was fun too to do that. So research. I mean, I've been around horses a little bit, but it was a lot of research too.
Okay. So let me ask you a couple of things about Johnnie Alexander.
Okay.
And you can choose to answer these or not. Okay. How has your faith impacted you personally and on your writing?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. And what do I want to say? I feel like we have, like stories have themes. I feel like we have themes in our lives too. And those themes may ebb and flow. So as a young woman, one of my very favorite verses is Proverbs 31:25. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she smiles at the future. Because the future at that time was just way ahead of me. You know, now I'm at an age where there's not that much future left, but I still call on that verse. And then over the years, different passages just become so important. When I was first starting to write seriously, I mean, it was something I wanted to do for a long time, but first started going to writers' conferences and really putting my work out there. I was having a quiet time at a writers' conference, and God showed me Psalm, and I'm not going to remember the verse, but it's in Psalm about he set my feet in a spacious place. And I felt like that was a promise that there would be a writing contract in my future, that there would be a writing career. And so, you know, that was something I held on to. And then sometimes those show up in my stories. He set my feet in a spacious place is the theme verse for my first contemporary romance, Where She Belongs. Other ones do too. I'm trying to remember. More recently, it has been the one about in Isaiah, I'm going to do something new. Behold, can you see it? This is a paraphrase because I don't have it totally memorized. You know, this verse about the streams in the desert and the rivers in the wilderness. And that was right before I was making a major move, and the future was a little bit scary, and God gave me that verse. And it was so interesting because I ended up moving to a town called Riverview and an apartment complex called at Tranquility Lakes. I mean, it's like, you know, just how cool is that?
That is God.
So, but trust, going back to that being such an important theme in this book, trust has been an important theme for me since 2013, 2014, when my husband and I decided we were no longer going to stay married. And that's a scary thing, because it is like, what are you going to do? What does the future hold? And all I could do was trust God. And again and again and again during that time, it was like, I've got you. I'm protecting you. I've got your path. I'm going to make provision for you. I mean, I can't even tell you how many devotion sermons. It was just like again and again and again, feeling that. And since that time, I just, I'm about to make another major move, and I'm not afraid, because I know that I don't know all the details, but God does. And I just trust him he'll figure it out. And he'll let me know when I need to know.
He's got it figured out. He just hasn't told you yet.
Exactly. I mean, he knows. I mean, even so far as like, what date are we actually doing this? It's like, I don't know yet, but I know that circumstances will tell me that things will happen, and then I'll know this is the time, this is the date. So, trust has just been an important thing for me for the last several years, that I just have really felt like I've grown in through that experience, and my writing has really taken off too. So I mean, yes, God has certainly provided for me, certainly given me that spacious place, because I'm writing in multiple genres, writing for multiple publishers, and multiple opportunities. So I'm just very thankful and grateful for that.
That is really awesome. Let me tell you what the scripture is for Yahweh Sisterhood Book Club. It's on our Facebook, it's on our Facebook page, but it's on our website. It's, she is clothed in strength.
There you go.
And dignity, and she can laugh without fear of the future. Proverbs 31:25.
Yeah.
So,
and of course, that one was in Where Treasure Hides. I mean, that
yes,
was very important in that story.
yes.
So,
I loved it. I loved it.
I love it too.
Okay, so what are you reading right now, besides?
Right this minute, I'm reading a book. It's in the other room, called, I don't remember what it's called. It's gaslight fiction. So it's short stories from like the 1910s and 1920s of these detectives. But it was I started reading it as part of doing research for con artists, and it is just an interesting little story. I usually have more than one book going on. I'm also reading Huckleberry Finn, because I'm reading through these 100 essential novels. I've been doing that for about over a year now. And that's the book I'm on. So it's slow going, getting through Huckleberry Finn, I will say, but I am going to finish it. So reading both of those. And as soon as the library opens up, and actually I think I'm going to be able to go there tomorrow, I have a book on hold by Rachel Hauk about Fifth Avenue Literary Society or something like that, is the title of that book. And I'm really looking forward. It just sounds like such an entertaining and intriguing premise that I hope to go get it tomorrow or Thursday, pick it up at the library.
Yeah, I guess our library here, because we're in Indiana and you're in Tennessee?
Oklahoma now.
Oklahoma, right, Oklahoma, sorry.
Yeah,
so we're definitely in different areas, and with COVID-19, and we're actually filming this during COVID-19 still. Yeah. So our library is, I believe, now allowing pickups outside.
That's what ours is doing too.
Yeah, you can go, you can just pick up your book from being in your car.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to have to do, is just drive through. And I've got books to take back to them. And in fact, that gaslighting fiction book, I think I've got like 3 more short stories. So I've got to get those finished before I can go. So that's why it might be Thursday instead of tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, it's just fun, and it's fun to read. I mean, there's so many books out there. I know they're just, it's overwhelming.
It is. I look at, I could just be reading, like 24 hours a day and not doing anything else, because there's so much out there.
Yeah.
I am going back to reading some children's books as well.
Really? Like what?
Tom Sawyer I have in my Kindle.
Okay, I just read Tom Sawyer, because he is not one of the 100 essentials according to my poster. But when I got to Huckleberry Finn, I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to read Tom Sawyer first. And I did. And I have read it before, but it was ages and ages ago, and I really enjoyed it. I mean,
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it was really fun. And I'm liking Huckleberry Finn too. It's just not that it isn't engaging. It's more me being very distracted, because I've had a lot of deadlines lately. So it's hard just to sit down and
that's a whole other story, deadlines.
Yeah. I think I'm finally catching up, but I'm not quite there yet.
That's a good thing. All right. I probably could have a whole bunch more questions, but I think we're going to end with that.
Okay.
Maybe just show the picture again of the book we're talking about.
Yes. There we go. The Mischief Thief.
Mischief Thief.
There you go.
Get your copy of that. And I also, again, encourage you to get a copy of Where Treasure Hides. You're going to love them. Make sure you connect with Johnnie. Yep, there you go. Those are really cool. I like that.
Wasn't
that is a great gift.
Great gift. I was so excited when she gave me those.
Yeah, that is really great. All right, everybody. Thank you for being with us. I will be back again. I've got about a ton of interviews coming up, so they'll all get posted. And if you're looking for information on Yahweh Sisterhood Book Club, that's exactly what it is, .com. Or we have a Facebook page, Yahweh Sisterhood Book Club FW for Fort Wayne. And we're going to be having some new news coming out pretty soon on a new way of doing book club. So we're excited about that. And we appreciate you being with us today. And Johnnie, thank you so much.
Oh, Jo, thanks for having me. This has been a delight. I could talk about books and writing all day long. So
I know, believe me, we could be on for a long time, but you have work to do.
I do. I've got edits to do today. Yeah.
Yes, you do. And we've already been on a Zoom thing earlier today. So
We have. Yep, we have.
yes, we have. So thank you so much.
Thank you.